there's this very interesting telepathic or intuitive connection between a doctor and a patient. All across the globe, the doctors and nurses have felt this, and they have documented this. I had felt many times. For example, sometimes I'm very worried about a patient, about her recovery from an operation. I was thinking, has anything gone wrong? And suddenly, one fine morning, I'm flooded with a very positive feeling, a positive, intuitive message comes into me which says, no, the patient is fine, you're worrying unnecessary. This patient would be all right. And you may be surprised to know, from that point of time, the patient recovers and has an uneventful recovery and goes home without any residual effect. Now, another story I'm going to tell you, which was a really, really serious case. She was having a postmenopausal bleeding, and her ultrasonography was showing some suspicious finding of a lining of the womb, which is known as the endometrium. So I had to, though I was not liking my decision, but I had to go for an hysterectomy decision to remove the uterus, because this can lead to a cancer of the uterus. She was also suffering from very advanced form of cirrhosis of the liver. Maybe that has caused this a bleeding, which I realized much later on because of some hormonal imbalance. But it's a very, very interesting medical case which I had published in an online journal, and it had drawn a huge attention from across India and across the globe. But that's a different story. Now, this hysterectomy operation, along with she had a gallbladder stone. So gallbladder stone was attempted during the same time during the hysterectomy operation, but it was abandoned because of that serious form of liver cirrhosis she had. The operation, the hysterectomy, was also very, very difficult. She was having a hemorrhage at the latest stage, at the final stage of the operation, and I had a real difficulty to control it. She was shifted to the ICU. She recovered quite well next couple of days, and I transported her back to the ward, where she was eating like a healthy person then on. But suddenly again her condition deteriorated, and there was a profuse leakage from her vagina, which we later came to know as the ascitic fluid, the fluid which was collecting inside her abdomen, which was leaking through the vagina, and her wound almost gave away later on. But finally, what happened is that she went into grade hepatic encephalopathy grade 4, which was a very, very serious condition, and hardly people survive from this condition. She was transported back to the ICU. The gastroenterologist took over, and she deteriorated, and she was put into ventilation. And I was really, really worried about her. It was when I stood by her in the ICU alone, her chest moving up and down under the positive pressure ventilation. It was a tormenting sight. I tried to comfort his son, but I know that it would be a very, very, very difficult uphill task. Once she recovers, if she at all recovers from the hepatic encephalopathy, then I have to look after the wound and also the vaginal problem which she was having after the operation. But I was planning that I would do so and so things if she recovers. But I don't know, she was not responding, and she stayed in the ventilation for quite a long time. And we were really thinking how long we would support her like this. So one day I was coming back from North Calcutta. I was driving back to the hospital, and with this patient on my mind, it's like a albatross on my neck, a sort of a heavy burden on my shoulder, which I was repeatedly thinking about what to do next. Suddenly I had an overwhelming feeling of relaxation, overwhelming feeling of that suddenly that burden on my shoulder has gone off, and I really felt it. I was driving back to the hospital, and I couldn't guess why this feeling had invaded me. So I went back to the hospital. When I was in the hospital, I got a call from the ICU resident doctor. He said that your patient has expired. Would you please come and see her? So immediately I went down and I stood by her. Her dead body was lying on her bed, and I knew her long suffering of this cirrhosis of liver, this advanced cirrhosis of liver, for which she was undergoing treatment for a long time. Now her suffering was over, and probably when she left her body, she just sent a message to me. I just got somehow connected with her, and she said, now I'm fine, my sufferings are over. I'm telling you this because recently I came across a YouTube post where a similar nurse, a hospice nurse who looks after dead people and the dying people, had a similar feeling. And inside her mind, her dead patient who was suffering for a long time was almost saying, it's so beautiful now. If I ever knew that it would be so beautiful, I wouldn't have minded the suffering. Maybe these sort of things are true, and this post is for you. If you want to comment, please let me, and if you want to subscribe my channel to know these stories, please do. It would be a delight to me.